Okay. Let's see if we are live yet and if the audio is there properly. One moment. Apologize for my tardiness. I'll get to the intro here in just a second. Okay, we are live. We have audio. It is Friday, January 16th, 2026 at 5:26 p.m. Central Standard Time. I apologize for my tardiness, but I was trying to be a little bit better prepared this time for this this episode of discussing the episode. Basically, this time I'm going to be I'm not even going to have the window open for the show. I've got a whole bunch of screenshots. Let's see actually how many of them I got real quick. I didn't even check that. 509 screenshots of the show. So hopefully we should be able to go through this a little bit more smoothly than usual. I've got audio playing in the background and I've got it down as almost as low as possible, and it seems to be still quite loud. iTunes. It seems to almost like be a logarithmic scale where if I've got the music above 1%, it's like, well, that's 90%, right? You wanted that, huh? Anyway, alright, so Fallout Season 2, Episode 5, entitled The Wrangler. I'm going to check this real quick because I feel like this might be too loud. Yeah, it still feels way too loud. I'm sorry. Let me see if it maybe... Give me 1 second here. I'm sorry. Literally, I turn it down and it goes to off. Maybe if I try to skip to the next song. Lord. My apologies. I'm using the Steel Dawn soundtrack for the first time here for this. I've used the songs before for actual videos. It's just this is the first time I've used the Steel Dawn soundtrack while they were doing this. Man, the Cannon Courier show is a lazy bastard. 100%. Welcome to the stream, Night Spearhead. Okay, so we open up here. Let me get my notes back open again. We open up here. I'll give you the summary here. Lucy, the ghoul, and Dogmeat escape from the strip, which has become a Deathclaw nest. Alright, so we can start scrolling through here. We can see that we have the first Deathclaw coming out of Gomorrah there. Then another Deathclaw comes up the street from Vault 21. And a third Deathclaw comes down the street from the Tops Casino. And again, this Deathclaw coming down from the Tops manages to break this tree in half with a simple swing of his tail. Which obviously, like the tree that goes over there, obviously is freaking them out. Lucy's asking, what do we do? The ghoul says, run. So they do. And we see them hiding behind this car here. She's trying to figure out what to do about it. They don't really have anything to take out a ghoul. Or Deathclaw. You can see that the Deathclaw is literally putting holes in the roof of the car just by gently resting its hands on top of this thing. Sniffs the air for him. Dogmeat runs for it smartly. The ghoul takes a grenade, tosses it as a distraction, shoots it, and this works as a distraction for like a grand total of 1.5 seconds, because the Deathclaw immediately notices it. That's weird. It shouldn't be an immediate jump like that. Seriously, I have a half dozen additional screenshots there. I'm not sure why they're showing up. Do I have to maybe go slightly further? Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, they run from it, and they manage to get just under the fence. Now, I will say that I sincerely doubt... Okay, driving back home on 5. Well, I'm glad you're at the end of your day there. I sincerely doubt that this gate would hold against the Deathclaws, which makes me think... Because again, literally just resting its claws on the top of that car, it tore holes in the roof of it. If we can go back to that real quick here. Yeah. There we go. Sorry. So yeah, I sincerely doubt that this flimsy little gate is going to work to hold Deathclaws out. So my guess is that we're going to find out at some point soon that those Deathclaws are actually controlled. I could be wrong about this. It could be that they're just not really taking this into account. But given how... that gate is made out of scrap metal. There's basically no way a Deathclaw wouldn't be able to get through that. So I'm assuming that they're actually being basically radio controlled, probably with a BCI or something similar, to keep them on the strip there. So basically the two notes that I had on this are, yeah, again, the Deathclaws appear to be voluntarily staying in place. I mean, literally, that one Deathclaw swings its tail, and it snaps that tree in half. You're telling me it can do that? Because these trees are still alive, too. You can see that they're still alive in the background. These are not dead, desiccated, dried trees that are easily snapped. 1 second here. Sorry. Getting the water with which to make G Fuel. But yeah, so there's just no way that they wouldn't be able to get that gate if they wanted to. So yeah, next we get to Lucy and the Ghoul are on the strip, and they're basically discussing the situation on the... sorry, they're in the free side discussing the situation on the strip. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, discussing the situation. The Ghoul's like, yeah, the Deathclaws didn't used to be here. He's also talking about the fact that there are multiple vaults that he has discovered across the wasteland, supposedly for management. His wife and daughter are in one of them. He's never found one under Vegas, but the fact that Hank went here says that there is a vault there, or at the very least a vault-type facility for management underneath the strip. Again, G Fuel code iCartographer if you're interested in getting 20% off at checkout and helping out the channel a little bit financially. Okay, so basically they're trying to figure out what to do for the moment, and they decide that they're going to get Lucy clean. Oh yeah, first of all, she's mocking the fact that they're called Deathclaws. Which, I guess if you've never actually... I don't know. It feels crazy that she would actually kind of mock that, given what they just encountered. I mean, they were literally just chased off by 4 of them at once. And she saw how terrifying those things are, but I don't know. She finds the term comical, I guess. Anyway. So yeah, that we get to explore Freeside. And you can see here that they've got a sign that's pretty close to the one that's actually in-game. Now, one thing I will note here real quick, and it's actually going to be in these ones that are for some reason behind everything else. So yeah, the gate that they have there, all this stuff is in kind of a different location. I was originally looking at the sign for Mick and Ralph's there on the left, and I was thinking that they'd maybe turned it into just Ralph's, like maybe Mick had died or something like that. But no, the Mick is, I looked at the sign in game, the Mick is only on the one side of the sign. You can still see it there, the M up there. Happy Friday to you. Wasn't there a Deathclaw on Fallout 1 that stayed in a... I think so? I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a while since I played 1. I mean, I know that there are the sentient Deathclaws as well, so it'll be interesting to see exactly where they decide to go with all this stuff. But yeah, they've got the School of what's it called? Impersonation there on the right. That's right. That's King's headquarters there. And then in the background there, they've actually got something that's actually a reference to some cut content from Fallout New Vegas, to my understanding, and this is something I saw on X. So, but the Golden Globes is the what's the proper way to say this here? It's an adult bookstore and movie theater, and it's something that existed in Fallout 2. And again, it seems it was cut for time in Fallout New Vegas. So, okay. So if we zoom forward here a little bit. Okay, so, yeah, Fallout 2 with the Deathclaw omelets. We got this guy who's looking to be beat up for caps. See, I was looking at this and I was actually confused by the wording on there. Is this beat me up for 4 caps? Like, do you have to pay him 4 caps each time you beat him up? Or is it just you beat him up and you give him a certain, like, some other number of caps? I'm wondering. Yeah. Well, I mean, Deathclaws are made with FEV. If that's unless I'm misunderstanding that. Measure of affected Deathclaws using FEV involved in more. Yep. So let's see here. We got the Atomic Wrangler in the background there. We've got Sonny's Sundries, which we'll see here in a little bit further along. And further down the street, we'll see it in a minute, is the Silver Rush. Formerly a casino, now the home of the Van Graffs. Certainly charge more than 4 caps to beat me up. Yeah, I would think so, especially when you see the increased prices at Sonny's Sundries. But yeah, it's a confusing wording there on this sign there. All right, so yeah, she's basically... I just got some shots here in the background. There's some weird stuff where we get these people with all these different uniforms on. It makes me think that these are probably some form of, like, members of some sort of performance group where they're... this looks like marching band uniforms almost. And we got like showgirls and stuff like that. But yeah, they're trying to figure out what it is they're going to do. Lucy's basically suggesting they go into the strip. Use lure from all the games. Yeah, they do. She's suggesting they just go on the strip, and she's also saying, I have no more drugs. So he goes ahead and hands her some caps to basically go ahead and deal with it while he's going to go off and get blasted. So we get to where he heads into the Atomic Wrangler. And from this, we either have to assume that the Garretts have hired somebody new to work the bar, or that the bar has changed hands. So this gentleman here, I believe, is called Shotgun Jeff, according to the X-ray, but there's been no indication of that based on conversation in game. Yeah, maybe they're dealers. Okay. So yeah, basically he asks for a whiskey. He's about to leave with the bottle, so he said, leave the bottle. He does. I do wonder if this is whiskey that they've produced here, as they did in game, but anyway. So yeah, the ghoul is basically contemplating his past here in Vegas. Oh yeah, then Shotgun Jeff gets a little too talkative. Basically, cannot leave him alone about the death clause. We do learn from his conversation here. Jeez. Okay, if you want up in my lap, you can't hold onto the ground. He just will not shut up, but he does say that the death claws have come up from Quarry Junction, which, as Knight Spearhead was saying, the Cannon Courier was a lazy bastard. Because, yeah, one of the things you could do was kill all the death claws in Quarry Junction in order to restore concrete manufacturing out at the Boulder City cement plant, or concrete plant, I can't remember which one it is, that they have out there. But anyway. So yeah, he basically is just telling him to leave him alone. Because he's definitely kind of getting a bit depressed, wants to get lost in his thoughts here as he thinks about his time in Vegas in the past. Yeah. Oh, in terms of, reminds you of the Wastelanders. Yeah. So yeah, we get a little bit of a newsreel that seems weirdly open about things here. Where it's so members of Congress are talking about making peace with their communist enemies. Well, these massive corporations are coming together in Vegas in order to decide the real future of the free world. And you got what turns out to be, and this is what I have been suspecting for the past few episodes, body double Robert House. We got information on Robco here and the different fields that they work in. The recreated picture from Fallout New Vegas that you can find at Camp Golf of Robert House in front of the robot. We got him basically saying the house always wins. Then we go to comes over to being in an airport. It's just crazy to me though that these defense contractors would openly say, "We're deciding the future of the free world." It's like, okay, I mean that's a bit much. It's crazy that they made a whole newsreel on peace talks. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. Well, no, because in the first season, the very first episode, they talk about how there are peace talks taking place in Anchorage, but that's literally on the day of the bombs. Or is it in Anchorage? I think it's in Anchorage. It's in Alaska at the very least. Regardless, this is still, I think, at least a year or two before the bombs. I don't know exactly when. We still haven't really got a proper date on it. I'm pretty sure that rap party was, I can't remember off the top of my head. I did basically try to find a date on the paper there, and it's not easy. So, supposedly there's roughly 1K vaults built. Vault-Tec built only a small amount, while the Enclave built most of them. I don't know about that, because, I mean, in terms of the numbered vaults, we've only seen like 120-something. But at the same time, we did get Cooper Howard saying that he found, or as the ghoul, saying that he's found multiple vaults for management. From what he said, it seems almost like there's one per state, but again, that's kind of pushing things. Because at the end of the day, he said there was a management vault that he found in California, another one that he found in Oregon. He says there's more than a few. So while that might mean there's one per state, it could well be that some states don't get them, like Wyoming, with its 500,000 people, don't get a management vault. But House mentions a date of sorts. Yeah, he does mention a date, but that's the date when his simulation calculated the end of the world. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there, because there's been some other stuff online about that as well. So, but yeah, as they're here at the airport, they're in Los Angeles. They're going to Las Vegas. We got young Hank McClane here coming to take their bags, even though he personally has a briefcase handcuffed to his hand Fallout 2 creators said about 20 vaults per state, and some states have more, and some in Canada. Yeah, again, like I said, Wyoming, I would assume, would have very few vaults. Probably some in, like, 1 or 2 in Cheyenne, Casper, but again, probably not many more else. Probably it's the same thing with most of those mountain states, and obviously Wyoming's not entirely a mountain state, but when you get to the big square states in the middle of the country where there's very small amount of population, probably not that many vaults in those locations, especially because those locations outside of areas where there are missile silos are not really big targets for nukes. So there's potentially for avoiding the bombs in the fallout there. Let's see, the management stuff is something I'm kind of worried about, just pretending that cryopods have always been a thing and everyone uses them. No, it definitely could be. I mean, the first time we ever saw cryopods, to my knowledge, is in Fallout 4, and we've been seeing more of that since. Do you think the investors, Bud Dimensions, are the Enclave? It seems possible that they're the Enclave. It's hard to tell, because it could well be that it's other corporations like Westech. What were the other ones they showed there? Big Mountain. Which I always thought Big Mountain was a government, like, almost like a, not a branch of the government, but almost like a DARPA sort of a situation. So, I don't know. I need to look more into Big Mountain. I haven't made any videos on that content just yet, so I haven't done thorough investigation of that lore just yet. Rhode Island would have one. Yeah. To be fair, I think Rhode Island would have more than one. They do have an okay-sized population, especially for a state that small, but West Virginia does have a bunch. That's true. But at the same time, West Virginia also had the automated missile silos and stuff like that. It's a good state. It's also close to D.C., so it's one of those things where, like, if you can, it's a good place to basically have people hold up. Enclave is definitely the main benefactor. Yeah, but at the same, it's one of those things where I'm looking forward to when we learn more about the Enclave, which I think we will later in the show. Like, obviously, we know what we know of the Enclave, mainly from Fallout 2, 3, and a little bit from New Vegas. They're in 4, but I think only really in, like, Creation Club content and, like, referenced maybe here and there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they put in the show, because all we've seen of the Enclave so far in the show is a little bit with Dr. Siggy Wilzig at their compound in the first episode. So it's going to be interesting to see more of the actual Enclave. President's offshore before the bomb dropped. That's true. He was on the Poseidon Energy oil rig. Instance of cryo. Okay, so there was an instance of cryo in Fallout 2 at the Sierra Army Depot. Okay. Yeah, again, I thought that Big Mountain was basically a secret sort of a situation. It does feel like they've become a lot more public with the show. Anyway, so let's keep going here. So again, I'm pretty sure that this is the cold fusion tech that he's got handcuffed to his wrist here. He does take their bags, though. And then Cooper tells Barb that he's got to go take a phone call with his agent, which is actually his way to go use the phone booth as a way to talk to Moldaver. Now, a quick note about this. I noted that Moldaver is in the X-ray. Her name is Kate Williams within the pre-war segments. I need to look into this because I didn't have time before coming on, but I feel like, and I checked my notes on this, but I need to check the actual episode, that the X-ray back in season 1 showed that her name was Claudia Williams, which is interesting because there's also a Bud's Bud named Claudia who was also with the program only a week before the bombs dropped, which almost makes me wonder if, and she doesn't, like, she's got dark hair, like some darker colored skin, brown eyes. I'm almost wondering if they're going to set this up to be the case that Claudia is maybe a Moldaver's daughter. I don't know. Again, we're going to see. This is entirely speculation at this point. I don't know. I need to go back and look at seeing whether or not Moldaver was referred to as Claudia Williams in the first season. I have it in my notes, but I need to check the X-ray to see if that's still the case. One of the more recent updates of Fallout 4. Yeah, they had the Enclave quest, but it's Creation Club content that they put into the game. Let's see. Do you think she's Enclave? I don't think so. It'd be really interesting if she was, but no, I don't think she is. Let's see. Okay. So Moldaver's basically wanting Cooper to go ahead and kill Robert House because she believes Robert House is going to transfer bombs to Vault Tech in exchange for the cold fusion tech. Robert House wants the cold fusion tech. Vault-Tec wants the bombs, just to clear that up if I misstated anything there. And that she believes that Vault-Tec going to use those bombs to initiate the nuclear war. She gives him this poison. I've seen people speculating that this is FEV, and I have no idea why they would say that. FEV is green. And also, I don't know if this is canonically what they're going to have to go ahead with it, but it seems to glow every time we see it. But yeah, it's... I think that this is just poison. He asks, is this what I think it is? And... people have also been trying to say it's like the ghoul chemical, but the ghoul chemical itself is also yellow, but it's yellow clear, does not glow. So I think this is just poison. She's like, oh yeah, you're a soldier, you can kill people. And I think, honestly, let me check my notes here. I forgot I have a full set of notes here. Okay, so yeah, my summary of this scene is Cooper and Barb Howard are in the airport, heading for the Defense Contractors Convention in Las Vegas with Barb's assistant Hank McClane. Cooper uses the phone booth to have a clandestine conversation with Moldaver/Kate Williams to discuss the potential assassination of House. So this Defense Contractor Conference is widely publicized, including that the convention is debating the fate of the free world. The most prominent attendees are Vault-Tec, West-Tec, Robco, and Big Mountain. Hank McClane has a briefcase handcuffed to his wrist, likely with a cold fusion tech within. Moldaver provides Cooper with this red-orange liquid in a small vial with which to kill House. He refuses to kill him, which we'll get to in a second, but promises to exchange Vault-Tec's cold fusion, to stop the exchange of Vault-Tec's cold fusion for House's bombs. And honestly, so it almost seems like Cooper was coming into this with the plan to kill House, but at the end of the day, Moldaver's attitude here of, oh, you were a soldier, you've killed people before, this is the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're wearing a costume or not, because he says, yeah, I've killed people in uniform. She's like, it doesn't matter if you're wearing a costume, it's the same. I think, honestly, that her attitude is potentially what put him off of the killing. Now, I don't think he wanted to kill him in the first place. I don't think Cooper Howard enjoys killing people. Not like the ghoul. But again, I think at the end of the day, if he was going to kill House, I think that her attitude about this is something that potentially pushed him off of it. So maybe Canada also had a resistance group of freedom fighters, maybe. Okay, so yeah, basically, yeah. We also have this shot here in the background with Hank McClane again talking to a couple of his buds from Vault-Tec, I believe. Now, I think this guy right here, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure this is another one of Bud's buds that we actually see later in another scene. Hey there, I don't know what to put. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Hope everybody's having a good week. I don't think I actually said that yet. Okay. So yeah, he's basically like, I'm going to stop it, but I'm not going to kill him. Leaves the poison, which is kind of crazy that he leaves the poison there. I would have thought, like, almost take it out, throw it away, but I guess he's leaving Moldaver to do that. But yeah, she's not thrilled about the fact that he's decided to go off and do that. I do really like the sights of pre-war New Vegas. I think it actually looks pretty good. We get coming in here. Oh, yeah. Good to see you, Clay. And here we go. Probably no TSA in this universe. Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, so yeah, we've got these guys out here protesting against this, against the conference. And so we got, I thought this was a kind of clever sign, separate House and state. Get money out of politics, money out, voters in, and the one right over here that's difficult to see says privatization kills. Yeah, they've actually got full-scale MPs outside. I mean, that's... If you're, like, not trying to have things look like it's fascism, you don't have the literal military protecting the defense contractors. But anyway, yeah, there's also the Securitron with the policeman face doing his guarding. This protester comes up, bangs on the window. Let's see here. Yeah, no, I would like to see... I do think it would be interesting to see Alaska... Or really Canada as well. Occupied Canada. Let's see here. Alright, so yeah, they're hauling this... I love corruptions. Quote of Mr. House. Yeah, they're hauling the protester off. Here we go with Cooper and Barb hanging in at the same... And so yeah, they see... Yeah, the MPs are definitely wearing riot armor. They know what's going on here. We got Cooper Howard seeing himself as this foam board cutout here, which I noted he's thinking. That's not a speech bubble, that's a thought bubble. Let me show you around your new home. And yeah, they've got the Vault 21 Hotel. Now, I'll note that I honestly thought that the Vault 21 Hotel was a post-war construction. Because, like, I didn't think that they would want to advertise the fact that there's a vault there. It's one of those things where, like, a lot of the times they're trying to hide them. So, my wife's computer just had the fans go up on that. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, again, I thought that this sign here was created by Michelangelo. So I was definitely surprised to find out that that it was a hotel before the war. But basically, Barb attributes it to the fact that his advertisements have been really popular. So yeah, again, it's a thought bubble. That's not a speech bubble, that's a thought bubble. Come on. Yeah, he's got a fan that comes over, wants a photograph. At the same time, we have Representative Welch, the person who at the very least, she claims she's the only representative that has not taken corporate sponsorship, is being thrown out by military police, which, like, you got to say that this congresswoman has got to be quite unpopular with the general public, probably because it's one of those things like the Free States, where the Free States loved the general concept of America, but they hated what America was becoming. It's the same sort of thing with her, where I got to think that she was also generally viewed as quite unpopular because they literally just throw her out and throw her down the stairs. I don't think you do that with a popular congressman, congresswoman, representative. So yeah, I think that they were able to do this with impunity because she was not popular. Let's see here. Looks like that. Fit Boy is the cell phone of the Fallout universe. Does kind of seem that way, but at the same time, they still have phone booths, so I don't think that was the case. Vault 21 could have been a hotel before the bombs and a promotional tool. Yeah, that would actually make sense because they did have the promotional vault within the DC Museum of Technology. Sorry, I forgot to read my summary here. Cooper and Barb Howard arrive at the Defense Contractors Convention in Las Vegas. Entering the Lucky 38, Cooper helps Congresswoman Welch, who's been thrown out of the building. Inside, yeah, we'll get to... I don't need to read the whole summary. We're going to go over it, but let's see if there's more specifics here that I should mention. Yeah, so I think to note is that just because she is a congresswoman does not mean that she has automatic entry to anything she wants to go into. But at the same time, it seems entirely the case that they would not throw her bodily out of the place if she was a more popular person. Do you think if the Great War never happened in America, it would collapse into civil war? It is really hard to say because there were technologies that were right on the verge of coming into being or that were still being basically spread out to the entire country. Like, at least to my understanding, and it's one of those things where when you get to a certain point of things, it's like there's almost like something where you get a certain amount of information and some of it starts to blend with other information and stuff. I believe that they were still working on spreading fusion technology to the country. And so it's the case that there were still areas where there was not enough power because they didn't have enough fossil fuels. And so at the end of the day, it's like there were still areas that there was not enough power, not enough food, not enough, obviously not gas. And so they were still basically building these things out. And maybe if they'd been able to do that with the war not happening, they would have managed to kind of prevent the civil chaos and stuff like that. So question, who's the MP people here? Again, I think that they're literally military police. So I think that they could be Enclave. They actually do look a little bit like Enclave troops, the ones that we saw within the Enclave compound in the first season. So it could well be that they're Enclave. At the same time, they could just be like Army military police. They don't really have any identifying markers on them other than MP, so that's definitely interesting. Okay. Also, if they had not dedicated the FEV program to FEV and it had remained the, what's it called? PvP? The Pan Immunity Variant Project. They were using that to produce basically crops that would have been able to survive in the world and basically produce a lot more material, so a lot more food, I mean. So it's always interesting to know what could have come if war had never happened, but House doesn't know about the... Yeah, it definitely seems House does not know about the Enclave. We'll get to that more here in a minute. And like, there's definitely big blind spots that he has, which doesn't seem like he should have them if he's the person who knows everything. But let's see. Yeah, Nevada National Guard. I don't know about that. All right. These guys look a little too professional military to me to be weekend warriors, but anyway. So yeah, again, they throw her bodily out of the place. Cooper Howard goes over and helps her up. She seems actually pretty happy in the end to be helped up by Cooper Howard. Barb, I think, honestly seems a little embarrassed that he's helping up this unpopular congresswoman. He basically tells her to keep fighting the good fight, and they go ahead and they head into the place while she takes his advice to keep up the good fight and gets her flag folded up there. Let's see. You have groups like the Free States, and in Fallout 2 there's another group that would have survived the war. Yeah. Would the bombs dropping be considered World War III in this universe? I mean, I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, what makes a world war is really like when you have a lot of opponents coming to fight a war together. Because at the end of the day, the Great War was really just the United States versus China. Europe was out of the contest after fighting the Middle East for oil. We don't really hear anything about the Soviet Union. So, although the Soviet Union was still around, by the way, if you're not aware, in the Fallout universe. Yeah, again, I think if it was World War III, there'd have to be more than just the United States and China involved. Obviously, Canada as well, but Canada doesn't exist anymore by the time of the Great War. Funny that, like, how's it shown in the game? Inventions have not aged. Yeah, it's definitely interesting stuff. We don't really know the time period when the Europe Middle East war. I think it was the 2050s, but I could be wrong about that. And it's one of those things too where, again, with the lore, it's like how much of the stuff are you remembering that's the Fallout Bible, which is not canonical lore unless it's referenced by canonical lore. So again, that's sometimes people like ask like why it is that I don't play things like Fallout London. This is why, because I have enough trouble differentiating between semi-canonical lore and canonical lore. So anyway, let's see. Okay. All right, so we get into the Lucky 38, and almost immediately, Coop gets to basically zero in on Hank. Barb says she's got to go meet with some Robco reps, and she asks if he wants to go, and he's like, no, I don't. Goes ahead and starts following Hank. One thing I will note here is that it appears that Barb's drink of choice is a Nuka-Tini, which I have to assume is just a martini with the vermouth replaced by Nuka-Cola. But that seems like a different drink. But I don't know. Gin and cola. Like, I mean, that, I don't know. That feels like a different drink than that. But regardless. So yeah, we see Hank there on the left side there walking away with his briefcase of cold fusion. Walking away to go get a drink. And we got Cooper Howard following him. Hank is Enclave more than Vaultec. Honestly, I think you might be right there. Yeah, again, so the Bible is canonical if it's referenced. But the thing is, if it's not referenced, you can't assume that any part of it is canonical. It's the same sort of thing with, like, the strategy guides that they used to make. The stuff in there was produced before the game was released. Sometimes is directly contradicted by the material that's actually found in game. The games themselves are the canonical material. So if the game references something that you can also find within the strategy guide, then it's canonical. In Vegas during nuke times, they used to advertise stuff. Yeah, if you're not aware, they could actually see nuclear detonations from Vegas back in the day. So the Brotherhood map is terrible, by the way. If you missed my commentary on that episode, the Brotherhood map is absolutely abysmal. They've got the Hoover Dam in Colorado, so I wouldn't use anything on that map. Okay. So yeah, you got Cooper following Hank. Hank gets himself a drink, and he's about to, like, kind of figure out what to do about it when he hears something's happening over by the elevator, and that is House coming off the elevator, but again, it's also House's body double. So, alright, so, yep, he comes over and he tells him House wants to talk to him. So he's a little confused, rides up the elevator with the house body double, meets Victor, enters the penthouse, and finds what the show has as the stranger for a moment until they get to it being the actual house. And he's like, wait, you're the guy from the bathroom? He's like, yeah, sorry, I just wanted to meet you. I know you came here to kill me. So, all right, up next, we get to scene 5 with the snake oil salesman heading to Vegas, looking to gamble the fusion core that he got from Thaddeus, which, like, this seems to me to be insanity, to literally be walking around holding this thing. Like, again, a fusion core. There's a reason that he took it in exchange for that treatment that fixed Thaddeus's foot. This is like one of those valuable things you can get in the Wasteland. Now, of course, if the Brotherhood of Steel manages to... I don't know. I feel like the cold fusion was part of their plan to mass manufacture fusion cores, but they would bring down the value of individual fusion cores a lot. But at the same time, again, what he's got right here is like he's walking around with like a gold ingot. So, the map is a trap. Yeah. No, again, I looked at it and it was just like, this map is terrible. Nothing on it makes any sense. I'm going to ignore it. So yeah, he's making his way to Las Vegas. It's such a crazy little segment where it's playing Luck Be a Lady and he's skipping along and hopping and kissing his thing here and jumping over the skull. It would be actually pretty funny if they reveal that he's the courier, but I don't think that's where they're going. But yeah, he gets assaulted by a rad roach that he stabs to death, and then he finds himself some yellow flowers and decides that he's going to get lucky. Heads off towards Vegas. Oh, Rat King made a video about the map. That's neat. Yeah, I liked that shot right there. And we find the snake oil salesman meeting up for an amorous date with Fisto. Oh, Lord. Man. So I will note right here, the fusion core is clearly right in front of him right here. So I don't know if he actually is planning to gamble with the fusion core or if he's offering the fusion core up to Fisto. So we can add to his interest in chickens to an interest in robots as well. So yeah, I saw the Golden Globes. I mentioned that before. It's an adult bookstore and movie theater that was cut content in Fallout New Vegas, but could also be found in Fallout 2. At least that's what I saw on X. So, yeah, he's... Oh, Lord. He's very... okay, I forgot I was going to ask. I don't know, but I know that Wes Johnson does a lot of the voices for the Protectrons, but there was no mention of him when it came to Fisto. So I don't know if he does the voice or not, or if it's uncredited or whatever, or if somebody else does it and it's also uncredited. I don't know. But anyway, though. Oh, yeah, we don't know why that rad roach attacks him. Yeah, I do love that. It's just suddenly Hank is just behind him. And he kind of freaks out a bit about Hank being there, calls him a pervert, tells him to go off and be a proper pervert, spying him from the bushes. And Hank responds by knocking him in the back of the head with a crowbar and kidnapping him. So we got Hank again driving through this Vault-Tec compound. And we see the cryo storage area that includes Barb Howard and Janie Howard. So we know that at the very least, these pods for Cooper Howard's family are within this facility in Las Vegas. So again, the tubes are deliberately frosty, so we don't even see anybody inside them. So we just have to assume that they are actually full. So Hank was supposed to meet Fisto too. Oh, that's great. Do we have a general location for this vault? I believe that this vault is actually under Vault 21. I think that basically they used the construction of the Vault 21 hotel and the Vault 21 vault as cover for building this large-scale Vault-Tec headquarters location here. I have no evidence of that, but that's my guess. I mean, specifically the fact that when Cooper and sorry, the ghoul and Lucy are tracking Hank. It leads them directly to the strip. Now, we don't know exactly how they follow him to the strip. I assume that they're still following basically his footprints of his power armor, but it's difficult to say. Fisto and Enclave plant. I don't believe so. Yeah, similar to the vault and the train station in Fallout 4. Okay, so we got here the snake oil salesman, now within the facility, has his BCI on the back of his neck. New Vegas is talking about how House filled parts of 21. Yeah, so I think that that's true, that House filled parts of Vault 21 with concrete, but I don't think that he managed to get all of it. I think some of it is deliberately hidden here, so... salesman salesman says it would have been a very long time. Yeah, so it seems very likely to be the case that, yeah, he also apologizes to Fisto for seeing other people in between the times that they see each other. So anyway, I loved this part because he wakes up, realizes he's trapped, tries to get out but can't, and Hank just asks him, do you want me to wipe away all your memories? You'll still have your motor functions and all that kind of stuff, but you won't remember anything you've done. He's like, oh, please. So Hank puts on his goggles, his glasses that have like the little shades on the side as well, because he's experienced quite a bit of blood spray when he's been working with this equipment. Turns it up. Snake Oil Salesman really enjoys the feeling of this, until it starts hurting, and then we get the shot where they're kind of faking us out about it's going to be another bloody mess situation, but he survives it. It wipes his memory away, and Hank's like, all right, let's get to work. Let's see here. First met him. Yeah, he is quite crazy, so it seems very likely to be the case that he would be the perfect person to have his memory wiped on this. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so one thing I wanted to note is from the fact that Hank was out there at that taco stand where Fisto was, wearing this suit, it tells me that there is a safe entrance to the strip that does not go directly through the Death Claws, because otherwise he would have been wearing power armor. Anyway, yeah, he has the flower he picked. Anyway though, we next get to Norm and Bud's Buds. This is scene 6, where they arrive at the LA headquarters of Vault-Tec. Let's see, maybe Hank is just a fan of Fisto. Yeah, so I was thinking about that. I was wondering if it was frequent chem usage that caused the brain to be usable for this piece of tech, or if it was potentially the case where if you are voluntarily allowing it to happen, if it happens, or if it's simply the case that Hank has actually managed to make some improvements to the technology. So it's basically, I think it's one of those three things. Potentially chem usage, potentially willingness to take the tech, or it's potentially the case that he's fixed it. It's one of those three things. So let's see here. Okay, so it could be the way that Lucy's safe. Radiation, maybe, but I don't think so, because again, we've had the other ones where these are people that are likely have been exposed to radiation. Well, I mean, they were Vault Dweller. The first one was a Vault Dweller. No, the first one was not a Vault Dweller. In fact, the first one was the Flea Soup Lady. Her son. Actually, the very first one would have been the one that wandered into Shady Sands, and he was definitely a Wastelander. But his head also did not explode, so I don't know. Anyway. Let's see here. So yeah, they arrive at the Vault-Tec headquarters. Norm, again, pretending to still be Bud Askin's successor. They head inside, unblocking the doors. What of the barman? Trying to think what you mean there. If we're talking about people that have had the BCIs implanted, I think I think there's been there's the one that was the son of Flea Soup Lady. He was within the vault. I can't remember the number. I think they gave the number. The Chinese vault. There was also the one that Hank used in order to blow up Shady Sands. There was the guy that was inside the Premium Plus pod. Blew that one up. I think so. Unless I'm misremembering things, I think. Oh, okay. I see what you mean here. Yeah, I was talking about in terms of what Hank had done. Yeah, pre-war, no, House definitely. Man, oh man. Son of Lacey Blade looks like Trevor. I should look back at that and see about that. But anyway, they enter the Vault-Tec headquarters here. They find a bunch of people that have taken Vault-Tec Plan D. Yeah, Norm notices this blood on the wall and that it's still fresh. They start making fun of Janice, the front desk clerk that was still at the desk when she died. They hear something coming from the elevator. This guy grabs a fan because he says he needs to craft a weapon, which feels like it's referencing Fallout 76. I just noticed he also has 4 of the merit dots. Which, if you missed it in the past episode, yeah, R.I.P. Janice. Norm was giving out the little like injection site bandages as merit dots because these guys love their awards. Hers looks weird. It almost looks like it's painted on. I just noticed that there. Like the way it's hugging the ridges like that, it almost looks more like paint than an actual bandage. But yeah. Oh yeah, Fallout 4 and 76, you're right. So yeah, then they get ambushed by Ma June and Barv of Philly. She's there, but they're both kind of a bit shocked by the fact they've got a bunch of vault dwellers here. They're like, "Ah, great, more vault dwellers." Norm says, "What do you mean more vault dwellers?" Then we see Barv here eating. See, now, this can looks to me like it's like a pork and beans can that looks like beans there, but the stuff in that spoon looks more like taco meat or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, though, so Norm starts having the conversation with Ma June, where Ma June basically gives him a detail of what was going on with Lucy. And he has no concept of what the hell she's talking about, because she's like, yeah, I sent her with this guy from the Enclave to go through the, again, I try not to cuss here, but let's say crapple, over to go see some people from the NCR, but that's con territory now. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? So she's like, oh yeah, you guys don't keep up with current events. Pork and beans, yeah. Rat roach meat, probably. Ugh, God, honestly, that sounds disgusting. But at the same time, as humans, we eat water bugs all the time, lobsters and crabs and stuff like that. So it's kind of hilarious. I don't know. There's this definite thing where it's like, if the bug lives in the ocean, good to go. If the bug lives on land, that's disgusting. But anyway, Vault-Tec are truly the good guys, yeah. Let's see here. So yeah, basically she's telling him, go home. I've got some supplies here you can take. If you look at the table there, you can see some mute fruit there on the table, along with, I think this is supposed to be water, but it's kind of yellow. Maybe it's some form of tea. I don't know. Yeah, she's like, you guys can go ahead and take some supplies, whatever you need to get back home. Barv kind of is like, since when have you been such a good Samaritan? He's like, and she goes, I'm trying to be a better person. Next up, we find Lucy. I don't know. That'd be interesting, because again, the guy was talking about crafting a weapon. It'd be interesting if camps ended up showing up in the show. But regardless, let's see here. Okay, scene 7, where we get to Lucy heading into Sunny's Sundries. So she shows up here, and you can see the sign here that there has been a recent dramatic increase in the cost of things. Like, dramatic. Stim packs from 75 to 1,000 caps, a Dictol from 125 to 1,000, 223 rounds up to 50 caps instead of 2 each, 38 rounds from one cap each to 50. Cigarette cartons are up to 200 from 20, pork and beans up to 100 from 5. Toasters, I don't know why they're selling toasters individually or why they cost exactly the same as pork and beans, but up to 100. And a Power Fist for 10,000 instead of 800. So she realizes she has nowhere near enough caps. I do think, by the way, it's kind of weird that they decided to bring back what they're calling the poop finger. Because they were having it fade in the last season, but then they just decided, nah, she's going to have it. But anyway. So yeah, she's also still kind of itching now from her buff-out withdrawal again. She notices, though, as she's walking down the street, there's a back door into Sunny's Sundries. This is also interesting. There's like a part of a bomb here. I'm not sure exactly what this is. I think, honestly, this might be part of that bomb that Cooper Howard's riding in the Lucky 38. But anyway, we'll get to that later. So yeah, she's trying to basically figure out what to do. She doesn't have enough caps. She needs the Dictol or she's going to be experiencing a real bad time. By the way, back there, that's the Silver Rush. There's no guard from the Van Graffs outside, so I think we can assume at the very least that maybe the Van Graffs don't control it anymore. No, see, you say the fade from last season was a protection mistake. I think that they actually deliberately said they were trying to have it fade. Because, again, yeah, she did not like having to do it. But they decided to bring it back. And I think that I even remember there being some sort of social media thing where they were talking about that. Sorry I'm rubbing my eyes. If you haven't experienced this before, for me talking about this, I have a minor allergy to one of my cats, and she was just up here. So, okay. Yeah, and so Con territory has also expanded. Again, we'll talk about that. Actually, we should talk about that now because we just saw that scene. The cons at the end of Fallout New Vegas were basically said to have moved up to Wyoming, which is basically perfect for them because at the end of the day, if you're trying to emulate the Golden Horde, then the Great Plains are a pretty damn good place to do that. I've actually kind of wondered, like, it'd be interesting if you were to manage to pit the Comanche against the Mongols in some sort of like battle royale. It'd be really interesting to see. But regardless, now the area around the ruins of Shady Sands is now Con territory, and the Cons also control out to Novak at the very least. So the Cons seem to have experienced quite a growth in their territory within the past decade. So anyway, so Lucy heads into the back of the shop. She sees somebody heading upstairs. She sneaks in. She grabs the Dictol, and she notes the Power Fist, and she goes over to grab it. So this is definitely interesting, because, like, she knows she needs the Dictol, but she's now not just stealing to basically get what she needs for a necessity. Now she's stealing what she wants. The guy comes back downstairs. She hides. They could have split a bit of split of the Cons. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Well, maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll see if there's going to be more information on the Cons or not. She goes ahead and hides. She sees the guy's got his back turned, so she starts to sneak out of the shop. That was a possible ending. Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things where I think it depended entirely upon the outcome of the quest Oh My Papa. Along with that, obviously, there's a little bit of the Cons legacy tied up within Vault 19, I believe it is, when you're dealing with the powder gangers that want to go join the Great Cons. But regardless, anyway, she notices, and I'm going to do this quickly, that guy in the trash can, and then this guy notes that she's in the shop. I'm trying to have it be on bloody scenes as shortly as possible, so I'm not going to go back to that. But yeah, she notices the dismembered guy in the trash can, and this guy notices that she's in the shop. And she sees that he is clearly dressed a bit strangely. Not just the hat not being properly on his head, but the outfit is clearly not the right size. Probably a lot of new addicts after Shady Sands. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, their drug running operation is probably going crazy. She notices this I think it's painted portrait of the actual Sonny, and that is not the actual Sonny. Yeah, it's only some of the powder gangers, though. Only the ones that followed Samuel Cook into Vault 19. And even then, that was only if you managed to connect them rather than convincing them to go turn themselves over to the NCR. Or blew them up. But anyway, I have a video on that if you're interested. Yeah, so I don't know if those are actually the Fiends in the first season. Now, Maximus refers to those two raiders, at the very least, as Fiends, but whether or not they are actually members of the Fiends gang that is centered around Las Vegas, I don't know, or if he's just referring to them as Fiends in the same way that you would any sort of terrible person. So, anyway. Oh, I'm glad you liked it. So yeah, she's like, so are you Sonny? Where is Sonny? And he's like, oh, he left town. She's like, so he's not the guy back here dismembered in the trash can? And he's like, no, that's a guy that came in and tried to rob the place. And she's like, so he came in naked? It's like, yeah, people do that. And so he starts looking for a gun. She's like, I'm going to leave. You're not going to shoot me. He goes for the gun. And he ends up shooting, but there's no bullets in the gun because it was on display. And she ends up shooting him in the shoulder. Now, basically, she's trying to maim him. It ends up actually killing him. But regardless, I was thinking about this. A little bit of this, I think, is actually... Forgot Max is kind of dumb. Yeah. So again, it could well be that they are the actual fiends, or it could well be that he's also just like those fiends, you know? But regardless, I think that it's the case that not drugged out Lucy would not have shot this man, because she would have realized this gun that's on display is not going to have bullets in it. Now, okay, to be perfectly clear, in terms of gun safety, you treat every gun like it's loaded. But Lucy, with her personality, I don't think would have treated this thing as an actual threat, were she not currently drugged out. So she goes ahead and shoots him, even though, he pulls the trigger, but it just clicks. She shoots him, and he goes down. She basically is going over to kind of scold him for what he's done, and he's dead. She feels bad about it, obviously. This woman comes in. I don't know who this woman is. I don't know if she's maybe Sonny's, a relative of Sonny's, or his wife, or something like that, or even connected to this man that she just killed. But this woman's like, oh, who are you? And she says, I don't know. Because, again, Lucy, now drugged out, has just killed a man. But, again, it's one of those things where it's like, it's obvious self-defense, even though, again, the guy didn't actually have a bullet in that gun. You have to treat anyone that's pointing a gun at you as though they're a gun. And again, he pulls the trigger. If he had the opportunity, he would have killed her, just as he obviously killed the guy in the trash can. So anyway, though, we go back to the ghoul sitting in the atomic wrangler. Yeah, gun safety is not a wastelander speciality. Let me check real quick, make sure I've not missed anything on that scene that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I already talked about that stuff. Okay, we're up to scene 8. So, the ghoul takes the whiskey upstairs and contemplates his past. So we get to, again, the second half of this scene here, where he's talking to House. And, yeah, so basically he's just trying to, he's talking about the fact that House has been following him around. And he asks the House body double, it's like, how long have you been doing this? He says, 10 years. It's a living. And he leaves. House wants him to come down. He doesn't want to come down. He insists he come down, and then basically tells him, I was with you in Alaska. Says, I doubt that. And then House basically indicates that he has the ability to spy on anyone that's wearing power armor because he leased technology or licensed technology to West Tech for their T-45 power armor. And he was able to use that so he could basically watch through their cameras. And he was able to see everything that Cooper Howard saw. So apparently he was literally following Cooper Howard's feed throughout that entire thing. It's kind of funny when you consider that the armor itself made by West Tech was basically constantly malfunctioning. But Robert House, his tech was working perfectly throughout the entire thing. Because he ends up seeing the demon in the snow, the death claws that were being deployed on the Alaskan front. Let's see here. Yeah, the camera, I don't know. Because, yeah, you would have to assume that if it was on the visor, then that'd be a problem. But maybe it's on some side of the helmet or something like that. Regardless. So, yeah, he's basically telling him about this. So he's like, fine, I'll come down and talk to you. And because he's like saying, yeah, I think your wife and whoever it is that created that monster is involved at the end of the world. Brings him down, and he basically starts talking to him about how they're both at the top of their field. While Cooper Howard's at the top of the acting field, he's at the top of his field, which is knowing everything. And he's like going to go ahead and show him the fact that he buys technology at the peak of its value, which includes cold fusion. And he's got his cold fusion tech room ready to go to plug that thing in so that he can live forever and protect the city of Las Vegas even after the bombs. And Cooper Howard's like, the bombs that my wife is going to be involved in launching. Looks like Epic Games is trying to get me to buy EA Sports FC 26. No, thank you. Not interested in any sports games. Last one I played was NCAA Football 2004, which was actually fairly fun, but I would never touch a sports game today with how predatory those companies are with that stuff. Anyway, wireless transmission. Yeah, no, I know. Like, again, House seems to have really been at the top of the field of everything here. And his tech, again, was working perfectly well. West Tech's was not working at all. So again, keep on going here. So yeah, he's basically telling him, yeah, I'm going to buy the cold fusion from your wife. And Cooper Howard's like talking to him about his end of the world predictions. which he says that in one spring morning, suddenly his computer told him the world was going to end. And that morning was, let me find it real quick, because I could probably have it in my notes. Let's see here. Yes, okay. April 14th, 2065 at 5:17 a.m. Now, there have been some people online that have been noting that there is a computer system within the DC presidential metro system called... What is it called? It's a female name. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Give me 1 second here, because I've got it noted here. Margot. M.A.R.G.O.T. It's the like a pre-Zax system managing the metro system there that runs between the White House, the Capitol building, and Adams Air Force Base. Now, that computer notes that it went online on April 20th at 5:20 a.m. Now, something that people have been forgetting here is that House is in Vegas, meaning that he's in the Pacific time zone, which means that, yes, though his prediction spit out at 5:17 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, that or probably daylight savings time at that point. It's assuming they still have daylight savings in April, in 2065 at 5:17 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It spit out that the world was going to end. This computer is 3 hours ahead of him at its 5:20 a.m. when it announces that when it comes online. It could be that that it was intended to be connected. It very well might be, because again, we're talking about a very specific day, April 20th, 2065. And so it could well be that they intended it to be the case that it happened 3 minutes beforehand. But if that was the case, they didn't take into account that he was in the Pacific time zone, whereas that one's in the Eastern, meaning that they are 3 hours apart. So his prediction of the end of the world actually came 2 hours and 57 minutes after that computer system turned on. So again, could well be that they're connected. But regardless of whether or not that's the case, it turns out that the date is also the date of the birth of Cooper and Barb's daughter, Janie. So it seems like it's connected to the birth of Janie. Somehow that is going to cause Barb to cause the apocalypse to take place. I don't know exactly how that would be the case, but again, he also specifically says that he does not believe that it's going to be Barb or Vault-Tec that causes the bombs to drop. He believes, in fact, that there is a unknown player that is doing stuff here, the same group that's behind the demon in the snow. Yeah, insert trauma. Yeah. Basically, he's like, that group that's behind the demon in the snow is going to be the one that ends up dropping the bombs. Now, the weird thing about this is, again, with him being the one that it's his job to know everything, he doesn't know about FEV, it seems. Because if he did, he'd know that that was the source of the death claws. And, again, that was West-Tech that was working with FEV. So, yeah, it seems like he's referencing the Enclave. But at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, they have not popped up yet. So it's nuts that someone as informed as he is does not know about the Enclave. Because while they are a secret organization, they have their fingers kind of in everything. And so it's difficult to see how he would not have known about that. Yes, irksome. Indeed. I did appreciate the fact that he constantly referred to these unknown actors as irksome. Let's see here. Yeah, should have been a simple math equation given the American status. So yeah, basically he's like, I don't know what role it is that you play here in this this whole thing, but when you decided to come to this conference, it pushed the apocalypse up by a month. So I think it's fair to say that somehow Cooper Howard coming on this trip, the fact that he has as we'll see in a moment, a drunken breakdown and basically causes embarrassment to Barb, is potentially going to throw off the trade between Vault-Tec and Robco for the cold fusion, and maybe somehow that causes China to hear about FEV sooner, and so China actually ends up dropping the bombs. So China's only, the Enclave's only been referenced by Sam, right? I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about Sam Blackwell, he doesn't even know the name of the Enclave. He simply knows there are people behind the curtain. And we don't even know what year this is, honestly. Anyway, though. Let's keep going here. So basically, yeah, Talks about how he's trying to figure this situation out. And he puts on his helmet. Which, it does look exactly like the helmet that he's wearing when he's in, like, the desiccated man living inside that capsule. But it just kind of looks funny on him like this. And so Cooper's like, so he's like, there's this, I can't figure this thing out, this last partner. It's like, the house always wins, but what if I'm not the house? What if it's this other group? Hey, Not Darwin, good to see you. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, special thinking cap. So Cooper was like, have you considered that you might just be a lunatic? And he's like, oh, what about you? Pretending to be a cowboy while your wife is proffering apocalyptic ideas and stuff like that. What'd you just realize there? Happy Friday. The helmet made me think of the forecaster. Yeah, it actually does look a little bit like the forecaster's helmet. If you don't remember that little boy at the trading post at what's it called? Trading post 188. What if the house we meet in New Vegas is the copy? Yeah, I mean, it could be. I doubt it, but it could be. That'd be hilarious if it was the body double. So yeah, basically Cooper is not dealing with this well, and digitized version of the body double, that'd be nuts. So yeah, he basically is like, oh, I think what if you're the one who causes the apocalypse? Cooper kind of freaks out a little bit here with all this, and starts drinking. And we get the ghoul, and he's back to himself and back to the ghoul. So now we got the ghoul back in the room at the Atomic Wrangler. Yeah, honestly, I do think it is the real one in New Vegas. I'm assuming that's the case because, again, as far as we know, there's nothing really special about the body double. He's just someone that looks approximately close enough that House can use him without it being crazy to people that knew him in the past, would be my bet. He's just an actor as far as we can tell. Love the cinematography in the scene. Yeah, no, 100%. I do think it actually is really great. And I also really enjoyed... let me just actually find it real quick rather than zooming back and forth. Give me 1 second here. There it is. Loved this kind of stuff with that ceiling light above him. There we go. Anyway. Okay, let's go ahead and, again, back in the Atomic Wrangler, and next we go back to Norm and Buds, where they are looking for the comms room, attempting to contact the investors. The radio's broken, so Ronnie here assigns one of his buddies to go work on it. Now, again, okay, where is he? This gentleman right here. You can see my mouse cursor, right? I think you can. Yeah, you can. Okay. Again, we can see him also right here. I believe that gentleman is the same one as we see. Give me 1 second. Got a screenshot here. At the airport. Yes, there he is. I believe that this is this man here. I believe that these two are the same person. And it's actually pretty clear when you look at it side by side like this. I think that this guy and this guy, obviously, all of the, like, these two are both buds at the very least. I don't know about this gentleman here. He probably is as well. In fact, yeah, I think that's that's him right there. Yeah, so I think that we've got multiple buds. Yeah, the weapon crafter. So, all right. All right, so next up, Norm notices that Claudia, again, this woman over here, is kind of off on her own and crying, so he goes to check on her, and she's basically having a rough time of it. If you don't remember from the last episode, she joined the program literally a week before the bombs, so she talked about how she drove over that bridge that's in ruins over 200 years later. She drove over it last week, so yeah, she was also not really indoctrinated into the program yet, so she's having a rough time with the fact that, like, again, she's in this program that's supposed to... Oh, yeah, there's absolutely a relationship going on there. She's not dealing well with the fact that, again, she's supposed to be part of this program that's creating the perpetual civilization, but she never really got indoctrinated into that, and at the same time, she's dealing with the fact that her parents, her friends, and her cat, Puppy, are dead. So they're kind of, like, laughing about the fact that she has a cat named Puppy, where it's like, maybe it's not really funny in this situation, but yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that they're test subject for phase 2. Yeah, maybe. It's definitely going to be interesting to see more of what happens with this phase 2. But anyway, so Norm's asking her, do you know anything about what was supposed to happen to the people of Vault 32 and 33? And she's like, well, I know that Bud's boss, Barbara Howard, she was the person who set up all the Vault experiments. And so they go ahead and head to her office and start working on the terminal here. He's going to hack into it and find out what exactly was going on. And at the same time, in the background, she's found this picture frame here, which I think is actually pretty important because it's just Janie in the picture. Now, I've talked about this when I was talking about the last season, but I think that the general flow of things here is that we start with Cooper Howard as the spokesman for Vault-Tec. Over time, he becomes disillusioned. We have the whole thing that he goes to Moldaver's group, again, goes further, and we still have a chunk that's missing there. I think what's going to end up happening is he's going to have a complete falling out. They're going to end up getting divorced. Again, that's why Janie is here alone in this picture. That would have been here in their office at the end of the world. And at the end of the day, he is going to be accused of being a communist. They're going to replace him with Vault Boy in all the pictures. And again, I think this is just another little glimpse of that future for the past version of Cooper Howard. Anyway, though, she comes over and she's like, you're not really Bud's successor, are you? He says, how'd you know that? You're not entirely crazy. And then, unfortunately, Ronnie, the assistant to Bud, is in the background listening to them. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, basically she's kind of complimenting him because he's not crazy. And she goes off to get drinks because she wants alcohol and he's never had any. So my guess is that Vault 32, or he's from 33. 33, either they had alcohol and they used it all and they have not produced any more, or they've just never had any because they didn't want poison. One of those things where it's like, I used to drink a lot. Not a lot. I used to drink when I was in college, when I was with people. I haven't really drunk it lately. It's one of those things, I don't really judge people for drinking it, but I just don't want it myself. And anyway, considering how photos used to be back in the day. Yeah, well, Norm ain't a drinker. Yeah, it's possibly the case that Norm just hasn't had a drink yet. But anyway, unfortunately, when she goes to get drinks, that's when Ronnie emerges, and as he's searching for future Enterprise ventures, which, as I noted in the last episode, has the strange common what's it called, acronym with the future forced evolutionary virus. He doesn't find that, but he does find FEV, which when searching it finds the forced evolutionary virus. Now, unfortunately, in looking into this, Ronnie then decides to rip the power cord out of the computer and is entirely pissed off with Norm for having lied to them and gotten them out of the pods. So Barb was with Vault-Tec right up to where the bomb's dropping. Yeah. No, I think what happened was, so again, I think they basically discredited Cooper Howard as a communist and then took him off all their billboards and replaced him with Vault Boy. And at the end of the day, she divorced him, probably because this is her life's work and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we'll never learn what FEV is, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm hoping that this is not permanent damage to this computer, because there has to be so much information on that terminal. Yeah, Ronnie is mad that Norm woke him up improperly, and he strangles him after a quick fight. And I'll just show the very end shot where he takes a gasping breath where he's still alive, because that is a rough scene. Yeah, she was basically, it almost seems like she was like number 2 or 3 in the company. So, and yeah, Barb definitely had no idea the bombs were going to be dropped, because there's no way she would have allowed Janie to be with Coop rather than with her at the management vault. That right there is what indicates to me that Vault-Tec was not behind the dropping of the bombs. Above all else, even including the fact that previous devs have said, no, it's China. China was freaking out about the United States bioweapons program and FEV specifically. So, yeah, the choking was, again, I didn't want to have too many shots of it because it was graphic. Anyway, though, that's the end of that scene. Let me see here if I've got any information on this, on that scene before we move on, because that was scene 9. Yeah, Barb was aware of FEV at the very least. Buds appear to have been planning something to do with FEV. Yeah, like I was saying, we were talking about before, Claudia definitely seems to have a thing for Norm, and I think he's got something for her. She's not too devoted, and she's feeling the loss of the world more intensely. Okay, so we're now in scene 10, where Lucy has just left Sunny's sundries. Came from someone other than her. Maybe Janie was a ghoul? I don't know. I don't think so. Another FEV vault. Norm needs a stim pack and a Nuka-Cola. Yeah. Vault-Tec at a FEV vault in DC. Cover it over at the kids camp. Well, I mean, if we're talking about Little Lamplight, it's not like Little Lamplight was actually a kids camp. What happened there was the kids were, for some reason, on a field trip on a Saturday. I guess maybe they were there on a Friday and they slept over to the Saturday, and the Saturday's when the bombs came down. Anyway, though, like I did take one overnight field trip when I was in elementary school, but literally just one. So maybe that was their one. So anyway, it's not weird to rob a store naked. Lots of people do it. Almost made me wonder if Sonny, if the fake Sonny was actually naked when he robbed the store. I figure that he was probably just like, yeah, of course that guy tried to rob the store naked, because he's like, it's a real thing, duh. But I think it's also would be hilarious if he also robbed the store naked. But anyway, so yeah, she goes ahead and she takes the Addictol. Initially thinks, oh, that's not too bad, and then proceeds to vomit for like 5 seconds straight or more. Goes ahead and finds the ghoul. I don't know how she found the ghoul. Yeah, why he's wearing Sunny's clothes. It's either that or he just was like, okay, better look the part. So he stripped off his own clothes and put on Sunny's, which clearly did not even come close to fitting. But I don't know how she found him here. All he said was that he was basically going to go do drugs. And she ended up finding his room here. So I don't know. I assume that maybe she just checked a couple places and maybe talked to the bartender and he pointed her in this direction. But anyway. So we go ahead and, yeah, she feels sick again. He points her to the window. She hurls out the window, hits a couple of people on the ground below. And so, yeah, he goes over, helps her out, is surprisingly gentle, helps her back to the chair. She thanks him. Pip-Boy tracker? Well, I don't think she's got one in him. If you remember, she put one into Dr. Wilzig's head. And she also ended up helping them track the Gulper, but no, as far as I know, she does not have one within Cooper Howard. Let's see. Cowboy Ghoul is like a very big target. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So yeah, he's like, trying to help you out considering. She's like, considering what? And here's Snake Oil Salesman with a BCI. This was honestly a little disturbing to see. It's one of those things where it's like he almost looks more wrong in this outfit than he does in his normal outfit. Oh, man. Yeah, that would be good. Fallout 4 mod where you puke after a Dictol. I did note she was only on drugs for like 3 days. And she was like remarkably sick from that. And again, she was even already in withdrawal by the time she was using the Addictol. Like, I have to wonder if the ghoul used that, would it just kill him outright? Anyway, so yeah, we got Snake Oil Salesman here on behalf of Hank McClane, looking to basically talk to them about the fact that there's no way that, if you consider he's not mind controlled. Oh, no, I think he's... Yeah, so there is a little bit that does indicate that he's being mind controlled, because there's kind of a hum that you can hear that is associated with the BCI equipment. But at the same time, they have completely wiped his mind, and he does seem to be on board with this as well. So, but yeah, I think I put in my notes, he looks disturbing in normal clothes. He might be less mentally unwell, but he has a lot of healthy living to do before he looks properly healthy again. Okay. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about ghoul healing here in a little while. But yeah, he basically comes in as a messenger. Again, like, did they... they seem to have like covered his eyebrows in makeup there. It looks so strange. And that, and along with the sunken eye sockets and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, he does not look like, again, he looks healthier, but a little culty. And at the same time, again, like he's definitely going to need some vitamins, some teeth cleaning, all kinds of stuff here. The tie is sharp. Okay, so he's basically here to basically say, you're not going to get into where Hank McClane is hiding, so I've come here to offer you a deal. We are currently holding the ghoul's wife and daughter, and so if the ghoul will return Lucy to the vault, then he will keep Janie and Barb safe. Now, honestly, I don't know that this is the case, but I would not be even slightly surprised to find out by this point the ghoul doesn't care about Barb in the slightest, but still loves Janie. Again, when you find out your wife is literally plotting the apocalypse, and you kind of go through that for a little while, there's probably going to be a little bit of lost love there. Anyway. Yeah, the Children of Adam vault cult. You can see the ghoul here literally just loathes the snake oil salesman and Hank McClane. Basically, he tells Lucy here, he brought her here as a bargaining chip. He does actually seem to me to be quite upset about what's happening here. I think he was actually getting to like Lucy a bit. I don't think romantically I am not on board with the ghoulsy stuff. There's a surprising number of women. Actually, I don't think it's that surprising. Women seem to be well on board with the dating a monster thing. I mean, if Twilight's popularity has taught us anything, again, it's literally one of those situations where he's he's 200 years older than her minimum. So anyway, yeah, basically it's like, oh, do we have a deal here? And Lucy's kind of disappointed in the ghoul right now for considering it, but again he notes that she has been brought here. You'd love your wife even more. I don't know about that. If your wife is literally plotting to kill approximately 8 billion people, that's a bit off. But anyways, yeah, she's sad about this because he's clearly considering it, and she's thinking that they were becoming friends. And he shoots her with a tranq dart. Snake oil salesman's happy about it. He goes to leave. She tries to attack him, but she's obviously she's getting knocked out by the tranq. He gets himself a drink, and we get a little bit of shots of him in the past where, again, he was having a little bit of a breakdown after his conversation with House, and considering his life, and he's basically drinking every drink he can find, and getting incredibly drunk, including taking this man's drink as though it was being offered to him to drink. And sees the fake House. Again, can you imagine what's going through his mind at this point? How everything seems to be kind of spinning out of control. He's here on an assassination mission. His wife's planning on destroying the entire world. He's gotten to the attention of one of the richest, most powerful people on the planet. Like, all this stuff's going on. Lucy here, I assumed that what was going to happen here was that she was going to take the addictol and basically use it to pump the tranq out of her system, because effectively addictol seems like it should work that way. Any sort of drug that's affecting you, it feels like it should clear it out of your system, but she does not seem to do that. But again, we get back to pre-war, where we got this random woman that goes up and kisses him on the cheek and takes him over to ride the missile, where he is completely drunk. Lucy staggers to her feet, slips on the power fist, charges him, and knocks him straight out the window. Sorry, let's see here. Cooper's suddenly a main character, yeah. Yeah, he has become the main character of the world. Faust doesn't seem to care about the world might end soon. I think he cares, but at the same time, he's not focused on the world at large. He's focused on making sure that his preparations are ready for Las Vegas. Get this last little shot here. Lucy is just devastated, and then, oh God, it is hard to see that he gets impaled on a lamp pole outside. Oh, you're talking about the The double. Yeah. I think the double assumes that he's going to be fine because he's going to be living with House. But yeah, so I was thinking about like, let. It's like I know the ghouls have regeneration, but assuming he survives this, he should be a paraplegic, right? Because that's got to be going through his spine. And yeah, people just walk by on the street. She's like, "Oh, I thought we were friends." As he's fully impaled on a pole. She goes back inside and collapses, just as we see in the past. Cooper Howard collapses off the bucking Bronco rocket. And Barb comes over looking a bit disappointed in him. Gets him back to the room, and he's like, "We need to talk." Yeah. God. It's hard to look at, honestly. But, oh, my God. Oh, so I think we can assume in the next episode we're going to see Cooper talking to Barb about her plans here. So... yeah, it's anyway, we got Hank McClane coming in, finds Lucy barely conscious. Initially she seems to actually be kind of happy because she's not really thinking and she's got her dad back, and right before she passes out she seems to realize what's going on, but again she's under a trank. And he's happy he's got his daughter back. So I think that what we're going to see next is Lucy waking up within the compound there. Okay, so we're basically done with the episode. We do have this exit shot here where it's basically Gamora having been destroyed by Deathclaws. And then we get to this where this feels to me to be a fairly big thing to just drop. And so maybe House had a separate pod for the double, but that looks to me to be an arm coming out of the pod right there. So unless, again, he had a separate pod for the double, I think we're going to have to assume that House is dead. I don't know how else to explain that. So, okay, so overall, my impressions of this episode were that I really enjoyed it. Maybe it's the courier. Yeah. House comes out swinging, kills the courier, throws him in the pod. I really enjoyed this episode. I think, honestly, the fact that it was focused more closely on a smaller cast of characters was enjoyable, especially the conversation between House and Cooper Howard were great. Didn't House's Chamber have a bridge to his pod? Yeah, it did, but not everything's been the same between the show and the game. For example, Mick and Ralph's is not right next to the gate into the strip, and it's also not right next to the the School of Impersonation. So I don't think that we have to assume that it's going to be exactly like the chamber for the pod in the in-game Lucky 38. While siding with the NCR, the Legion, you have to kill House. Yeah, 100%. So it's entirely possible House is dead. And again, we've seen every Securitron... Well, okay, we've seen 2 working Securitrons, one of which is Victor, and the other one is kind of flashing back and forth between some sort of massage therapist and a soldier. So, it'd been funny if it was shadowing to House's death at the end of the season. Yeah. Can't wait to see the Legion storyline pick back up. So yeah, again, I think honestly so far in this season, the storyline that's been the best to me has been following Cooper and the Ghoul and Lucy, and the most disappointing one has been the Brother to Steel. And it's not because I don't like Maximus's character and stuff like that, and there hasn't been interesting stuff taking place there. I have just hated the depiction of the Brotherhood of Steel in this season. I also think the credits aren't fully canon, maybe. But it's kind of like the way that... what's it called? Sorry, I'm having trouble. My head's stuck in Fallout right now, so I'm trying to remember... the Federation in Star Trek. It's they're a military organization, but in the most recent Star Treks, they've not been treating things like a military organization. And in the same kind of way where in the Brotherhood, you've got knights, and these guys are supposed to be kind of like upper tier people, serious people, and they've got them juggling grenades and playing pranks and stuff like that in the middle of a big important meeting, and it feels wrong. And along with that, the destruction of the Zayton corpse, the destruction of that pristine pre-war car, all that stuff feels ridiculously wrong for the Brotherhood of Steel. I don't mind the fact that they've got different. In fact, I like the idea that the different chapters have basically things that differentiate themselves from each other, to where whatever Quintus's chapter is, it's much more focused on like religious stuff, and you got the Coronado one that doesn't have women in control, the Grand Canyon one that has the robosexuals. Again, I like the idea that there are different things to each chapter, but the way that these individual groups are acting feels wrong. So, let's see. Yeah, we'll see what happens when the Commonwealth Brotherhood shows up. But all right, so what we have to look forward to currently is Starfleet's always been a bit more like NASA. Yeah, but at the same time, there was still a like kind of chain of command stuff, and it was one of those things where it's like if you're going to contradict your commanding officer, you kind of like go talk to him behind the scenes and stuff like that. But anyway, all right. So what we have to look forward to is Lucy probably waking up within the Vault-Tec compound, the ghoul getting himself out of his impalement, Norm, who has just been choked out, possibly with Claudia, possibly without. I don't know what's going to happen exactly with Bud's there. In terms of Maximus, he's fleeing with Thaddeus. I would not be even slightly surprised to see him show up in New Vegas in the next episode. Because, again, Area 51 is not that far from Vegas. Now, along with that, we still have Dane with Quintus. We don't really know what's happening with the Brotherhood currently. And then along with that, we've got whatever's going on in Vault 32 and Vault 33. Vault 33, which seems to be running out of water. And Vault 32, which has Stephanie, who wants Hank's memento box, which I don't... Again, we have no idea what's going to be in that memento box as far as I know. Yeah, I think Lost Hills was destroyed. But I think within the NCR Brotherhood of Steel war. But... just with the fact that they're talking about FEV as much as they are, I would not be surprised if it turned out there was something FEV related within Hank's memento box. I don't know what it's going to be in there. I don't know if we're going to have some sort of backstory where it turns out that Stephanie and Hank were a couple in the past and she just wants something from that. But we'll see. Yeah, maybe some sort of Enclave item. We'll see. Yeah, a lot of the factions are dead these days, it seems, or dying, or in the middle of a civil war, or something like that. But yeah, in Vault 33, we've got them running out of water, and not only that, they've also got their products of incest group, or inbreeding group, whatever it's called. So we'll have to see exactly what happens there. But yeah, so that's currently what we have to look forward to. I doubt it's a Gek. That'd be crazy. And I do think that there are more cold fusion devices than just the one, but we'll have to see. It would be kind of crazy if there was literally just the one. Vault-Tec. Yeah, we still have a lot to learn about Vault-Tec. We've seen scenes where there's a lot of people working within that Vault-Tec compound. It'll be interesting to see exactly what happens. So those are the storylines, though, currently. I think I'm going to end things here. And notes about what I'm currently working on. I'm still working on the Aquila City video. That one has taken me far longer than I was expecting. I don't know why I expect those ones to go quicker than they do. Those ones always take forever because it's one of those things where there are individual lines of dialogue which have very specific things about the story of the city. So I got to keep finding those. Thank you. Once I finish the Aquila City video, though, I'm going to be moving on to the Burning Springs content for Fallout 76. So rather than doing my traditional cycle that I've been doing, I think the past year or two, where I've been doing Fallout 3, New Vegas, 4, 76, and Starfield, I'm going to do Starfield, then go back to 76 and cover the Burning Springs content at least for a little while. So why didn't the 76 dwellers just give the Brotherhood their rechargers? Yeah, I don't know. Because, yeah, and when you go to 76, you can go to the nuclear plants where they've got fusion core rechargers. So, great. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed this. It was great to talk to you all. I was glad. It was great to get all the questions and the comments and to be able to actually discuss all this stuff. So, I hope you all have a good weekend. I'm going to get the Aquila City video out as soon as I can. Again, I'm working on that one literally every day. And again, it's one of those things where I've got to basically get those individual lines and find ways to put that information into the overall script. So I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you all next Friday, which should be the 23rd. Is that right? Let's see here. Yes. See you all on the 23rd. Have a great weekend, y'all. Great to talk to everybody.